Wait, is that Gabe?
Come on, not every dude with a beard.
Hi, this is Gabe.
He's pulling his deck out. Yes, the Valve Steam Deck. I've owned it for around half a year, and it's quickly turned into my go-to device to play games on. I'm going to talk about why that is. But first, some backstory. I am not really a PC gamer. The closest I got to gaming on PCs when I was around 13, playing Steam games on my family iMac. And I got by with that. I was really only playing PC games with friends, like, Left 4 Dead and stuff like that. Back then, a decent amount of games had Mac ports as well. And in my opinion, Mac gaming was pretty darn decent. Was it as good as Windows? No, not in the slightest. But you could get by. However, Apple did a little funny thing. They killed off 32-bit app support, and overnight, tons of games were unplayable. I'm talking like loads. Like, if I go to my Steam library right now, half of the games that have Mac ports are not supported. And I feel like Mac gaming is just now starting to get to a place where it used to be. And it's not even that good at this point. So we have Windows gaming, which is like kind of like the pillar, the top tier Mac gaming, which is, it's fine, at least at the time. And then what's this third option? Some sort of Penguin? Yep. Linux gaming. I remember at the time not even knowing what Linux was, but just seeing like the little icon on the Steam store page. There were not a lot of Linux ports. I would say anecdotally, maybe one Linux port for every 5 Mac ports. If you were a Linux gamer at the time, kind of tough luck. I feel like you either had to use Wine or just take the L and dual boot Windows. So you might be thinking, what did Valve do during this era of gaming? Well, they released some hardware, and that hardware was called the Steam Machine, a dedicated Linux gaming box for retail. It failed. After all of this happened, this was around when I stopped playing PC games, around the 2015. We just kind of went our separate ways, and years later, Valve has released a successor to their Steam Machine, if you will, called the Steam Deck. Now, I heard of the Steam Deck when it was coming out, but I didn't really know what it was capable of. All I really know is that it was a gaming PC handheld that ran Linux, which did not interest me in the slightest at the time. I was fine with my Switch for small screen gaming and my Xbox for big screen gaming. However, over time, I started to outgrow my Switch and Xbox. I wanted more portable power. I wanted to play more obscure indies and fan games, whether it be portably or on the TV. And you just couldn't do that with either system easily. So my life kind of went on with this, taking some concessions in what I could and couldn't play. And one day I decided I wanted to play Pizza Tower because I'm kind of a Wario guy. I fuck with Wario. He's kind of cool. He's a chill guy. And while there was no Mac port, I started to do research and found out it could be played through Wine on Mac very easily. So when I went to buy the game, I noticed it had a little Steam Deck verified badge. And I thought, that's weird. There's no Linux port. And that's when I found out about the beautiful world of Proton. Proton was basically built from the ashes of the Steam Machine. It's a dedicated gaming translation layer for Linux, kind of like Wine on steroids. And it works really, really good. Games basically act like they run natively. It's insane. Literally majority of my Steam library works on the deck, which is crazy because 90% of it isn't natively supported. After doing a lot of research and scouring the internet, I found this 512 gigabyte LCD used on eBay for like $350, which honestly is not that good of a deal. But, at the time, the Steam Decks were a bit more expensive, and the certified refurbished ones from Valve were sold out. It actually, honestly, shipped really quick, like probably quicker than I got the Valve. It got to me in 2 days after I bought it. I want to quickly compare this to the OLED just in terms of like specs. I'm not a screen snob. I think the screen looks fine. Would an OLED screen look better? Yeah, I think it would. For what I'm doing on it, I think it's a serviceable screen. The other benefits of the OLED, like 90 hertz, better battery, that's really it. I mean, slightly better performance. The increase in price just personally didn't seem worth it to me, and I've been very happy with this. Now let's talk about some pros. Honestly, this thing is an ergonomic masterpiece. It is so nice to hold. You got these cool back paddles. You got these big meaty grips. great triggers. Everything is like jammed up into the top, which looks kind of weird when you first see it, but it's just like so easy to grab everything that you need. Also, speaking of the grips, you know, that's where your hands are gonna be. This makes it feel so nice, and also makes the weight distribution feel not that bad. This guy is pretty freaking heavy. I'll put how much it weighs on screen because I did not look that up at the time of recording this. So it weighs that much. And it honestly doesn't feel like it weighs however much this is because of the way that the weight is distributed, as well as the heat. This thing gets kind of hot, obviously, because it's, you know, you're shoving big fancy graphics everywhere. You don't really feel the heat because the heat is around here. You're not touching that. This thing can be a little big, a little hot compared to maybe some other devices and get away with it a bit more. And while this thing does have big meaty grips, I do occasionally get cramps with it, not as much as the Switch, which is like literally flat. Yeah, it still happens a lot, but depends on the game I play. Whereas with the Switch, it's gonna do it no matter what I do. Another thing, and probably my most favorite thing I like about the Steam Deck, is the customizability, because it's literally just a PC. And there you go. Now you're in a desktop environment. You can do whatever you need to on here, and it is super easy. And you can like literally do whatever as long as it is confined to a computer. And even outside of, you know, you can do whatever you want with it because it's a computer. There's a lot of fan-made stuff. Like for example, Decky is a plugin loader to add plugins to the Steam Deck. So one of the biggest ones is CSS Loader, which basically allows you to do custom theming. And you can really fine tune this to whatever you want. For example, this is what the stock Steam Deck experience looks like, which is fine. But I personally do not like this. And this is like kind of like my go-to. And this is like a mixture of themes and little polishes that you can do on your Steam Deck with CSS Loader. And there's other ones like How Long to Beat and ProtonDB to look at compatibility. The community just really ran with this and made this amazing device. Speaking of community, the emulation capabilities on this is literally insane. It is so easy to just like have all of these games from any era up until like the Switch, honestly, and it emulates them great. And you know, just having all these games portably is so cool. I know other devices can do this, like the Retroid. I think just having it integrated with all your other PC games just makes it really special. Yeah, since this is just a PC, you can easily sideload fan games onto it, which is really awesome to play these portably, as well as just like any PC game. Like you can literally play the Java edition of Minecraft portably, which is kind of insane. And that's kind of like a dream come true for me. And that's kind of like, honestly, been my favorite thing about doing this is just playing Minecraft Java edition. All right, I feel like I've rambled on enough about this device. It's great, can play a lot of games. There are some weird caveats though. A lot of people have said that the Steam Deck is a console-like experience, and they're right. It's console-like. As someone coming from an Xbox and a Switch, there's a lot more random troubleshooting and crashes and freezes that happen. I've had to reboot this a ton of times. Now, I get that you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to tinker, you're going to have to troubleshoot. I just wish the console interface was a bit more robust. I've also had some issues with games, specifically Portal 2. I cannot get the sound to work on it. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why. Other people have had this issue, but all the fixes that are on the internet have not worked for me. And I just gave up and played Portal 2 on my Switch, and it worked fine. I also kind of wish this was a 16:9 screen instead of a 16:10, solely for the purpose of docking. A lot of games that do support 16:10 aspect ratios kind of freak out when you put them on a 16:9 display. Usually it won't autocorrect and give you the right settings. You'll have to tinker. Usually it'll be like squished or like have weird borders or something. And issues like that also exist in 16:9 games, like games that don't support 16:10. But usually it's like the resolution is slightly off, and half the time it usually does correct itself. But overall, this device has been really amazing, and I have no reason to really upgrade to the OLED. I'm probably going to upgrade to the Valve Steam Deck 2 whenever that comes out. But yeah, in conclusion, I just think it's neat.